let's cover how to write a professional email to a distributor for those of you that don't know. Now, there's going to be a lot in this to cover, but I want to touch on some key points to help you craft better emails. I'm not going to give you a template, but I will tell you exactly what to put in there. And then obviously I'll leave you to your own device to craft it yourself. Okay. So here's some tips to come off more professional. A logo at the top of your email, believe it or not, can help you look more professional. And this is not needed by any means, right? It's just a tip, but it can immediately help suppliers take you more seriously, okay? If you don't have a company logo, you can create one for free using Canva. Just go to canva.com, or you can do what I did initially in the very beginning and hire someone on Fiverr to do it. That usually costs you anywhere from like $5 to like, I put $15 here, maybe like $5 to $25 if you get like a really good rated person. But you can get a good one for like $5 to $15 realistically. Your logo doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can look anything like these, right? So this is my invert media logo. It's cut off there from the design of the PowerPoint right here, but it's just an upside down arrow, arrow triangle, right? And these are two that I created myself. This is for my Content King YouTube channel, my Content King brand, which is basically where I teach people how to make money with information products. And obviously this is one that you're probably all going to recognize for my main, not my main YouTube channel, but my secondary clip channel. It's e-commerce mentor. So very, very simple designs that I created myself on Canva. Anybody can do this. I don't know that much about graphic design. Canva's free. You can create one there, and it's very, very easy. Now, if you are unsure of how to actually put a logo at the top of your email, it really depends on the email software that you're using, right? But a lot of the newer ones, like if you're using MailChimp or like I use Wix email, and I mean, just because I have a Wix site, so a lot of my emails come from my Wix domain, right? So it's bryangarrett.com or invertmedia.net. And so the thing that I can do with Wix is I can just simply drag and drop like a picture logo at the top of my email, or I could also put it anywhere in the email. A lot of website builders, not website builders, but email builders will allow you to do this. So it really just depends on what you're using. If you're using something simple like Gmail or something simple like Yahoo or something simple like Hotmail even, then you probably won't be able to do this. But if you use like a free trial and you go with something like MailChimp or Aweber or GetResponse or anything like that, or Wix, like I recommend, obviously, then you'll be able to do it very, very easily. Now, some things to state in the email. You want to make sure that you state that you're the owner of the business, right? You also want to make sure that you state that you have a warehouse, even if that warehouse is only your basement or your garage or your house or a storage unit that you rent out or whatever, right? And because this shows, even if you don't have a warehouse, you still want to say this because this shows that you have the potential to receive goods, and obviously they'll take you more seriously immediately. This is crucial. Make sure to hit this home, right? Make sure to say that you're the owner. Make sure to say that you have a warehouse. Now, make sure to also subtly touch on the fact you don't want to say like, hey, I know that I have to purchase a certain, order quantity from you. And I also know that I have to purchase quantities and adhere to MAP pricing. You don't want to say that, right? Like come out and straight up say like, hey, listen, I understand you have MAP prices and I'll abide by them. You want to subtly touch on the fact somehow that you understand that MAP pricing could potentially be an issue. And, you also hope to get in the future from them a SKU list as well as their MAP pricing for every product, right? Just touching on the fact that you know what MAP pricing is, and I'm going to outline it for you here in a second if you don't know what it is, right? Just subtly touching on the fact that you're aware of it is enough to have them take you seriously, okay? So make sure that you subtly touch on the fact that you understand MAP pricing. And MAP pricing, for those of you that don't know, is just minimum advertised price, okay? So MAP pricing is something that a lot of serious distributors will have. They'll set a minimum advertised price, meaning you're not allowed, if you buy that item from them, you're not allowed to sell that specific product any lower than that price, okay? Minimum advertised price or MAP pricing. And generally, the distributors do this to keep their brands happy so that those brands continue selling to them and they continue to have those distribution rights, right? Because a brand sometimes, this isn't always every brand, right? And it's not going to be every single product as well, but typically brands don't want their products being sold super, super cheap, especially if they're brand new, because that it hurts the brand reputation. It hurts the way that customers perceive the brand, right? And also it might not be profitable for them in the long term, right? So this is just something that a lot of distributors have that you need to pay attention to. And if you don't, I promise you, I know this firsthand myself. I've made this mistake myself before. It was a while ago. I think it was like 2 years ago almost at this point. And I also know other resellers that have done this before. And if you do not adhere to these MAP prices, you might get away with it. You probably will get away with it because the brand might not necessarily catch you on every single sales platform, right? But eventually when they do catch you, your account with that distributor will be shut down. It's not worth getting your account shut down with a distributor. Instead, just adhere to the MAP prices. MAP prices typically are obviously a little bit lower than you'd want to sell them, but they're still profitable, which is why we run every single thing, including the MAP pricing, through our software to make sure that we're still profitable, right? This shouldn't matter. It's just something to pay attention to, okay? You're still going to run it through the software. You're still going to make sure that the products are profitable before you buy them, all right? So like I said, generally the distributors are going to do this to keep the brands happy so that the brands continue to sell to them and they have their distribution rights, okay? And MAP differs from product to product. So it's not going to be like a distributor has a MAP pricing that's like a blanket across all products, obviously. It's going to differ from product to product, okay? So if you don't see a MAP price listed on a certain product or product listing for that distributor, assume that there is none if you've obviously talked to your rep and they've touched on MAP with you, okay? They will let you know the MAP pricing. I promise you that. Now, this shows by basically subtly touching on the MAP pricing, as well as telling them that you're the owner and a warehouse, shows that you have experience buying wholesale before, obviously, right? And that you understand why companies like them would want to keep their MAP pricing at a certain price point to keep the brands happy, right? You don't say any of this. It's subtle, right? Like I said, just touch on MAP pricing and that you're aware of it, and all of this will subtly be conveyed, okay? Obviously, then you want to make sure that you follow the MAP pricing, right? So like, for example, if you buy a product and it's, you want to sell it for $25, but the MAP pricing states you can't sell it below, you can't sell it like below 30. Well, you can't sell it at 25. You can't go below that, right? So typically what you'll see on wholesale listings is like a bunch of people will stop at the MAP pricing floor and somebody will go lower than that because they want to win the buy box on Amazon, right? Big no, don't do that, okay? So if there's a minimum like advertised price, you cannot sell it below that. It doesn't matter if you're on Amazon, if you're on eBay, if you're on Poshmark or Mercari. It's not worth it. Don't do it, okay? So some more things to keep in mind. You also want to ask for information on the minimum order quantity. And this is crucial because it's basically the lowest amount that you have to purchase from a supplier to be able to buy from them, okay? And this differs from supplier to supplier. Some of them don't have any minimum order quantity, right? A lot of them will have minimum order quantities. A lot of them, if they're serious distributors, will have a higher minimum order quantity, meaning a couple $100 to maybe even $1,000, right? And some of them, like EE Distribution and the lower end ones that are still reputable, will have a lower minimum order quantity that you have to purchase a certain amount of units, or you have to purchase a certain case load, which could be like 6 or 12 units, or you have to purchase like $100, right? It's going to depend, supplier to supplier. And obviously in this module, I'm giving you I think 150 suppliers, but in the other module attached, I literally give you a list, an Excel file list of 10,000 of them, how to contact them, where they're located, what kind of products they sell, et cetera, et cetera. So this should not be a problem. You should be able to find some with minimum order quantities that, can suit you, that you obviously can afford to buy from. And if you don't have money to spend anyway, you shouldn't be doing wholesale yet, right? This is one of the most, if not the most scalable forms of reselling, okay? So this is going to differ from supplier to supplier. Now, we are touching on a lot of things to remember here, okay? That said, you still want to keep your email as short and to the point as possible. These are things that you want to, kind of add to your checklist here. And I'm going to attach this PowerPoint to this lecture above for download if you want to download it, right? And then you can either print it out and print out the specific PowerPoint slides and use them as a checklist. You can write them all down and use them as a checklist, or you can even refer back to this PowerPoint and use it as a checklist, okay? So I'm putting all these things in here because they're all important. But that said, it's also very, very important to keep your email as short and to the point as possible, okay? People are not going to read long emails. I know this firsthand. I get emails. I used to get hundreds of them, but I've kind of moved my email and I've kind of, put more of a barrier to the people that can email me, right? And so I still get dozens of emails every single day. And I can promise you that I'm not a distributor getting hundreds probably like they are. And I still only read ones that are short and to the point because I just don't have time to sit there and answer emails all day, right? I'm running my own business. And so they're not going to read a long email. Take my word for it. Keep your emails short and to the point. Now, they can be as long as they need to be to put all this information in there well, right? And communicated well. That said, still keep it as short and to the point as possible. Ideally, a paragraph or two. If you need to go longer, that's fine, but keep it as short as possible. Make sure that your sentences are distinct and to the point. The biggest thing distributors want to see is that you are not a one-man show or a one-woman show, right? Even if you are, that's totally fine. I'm a one-person show too, right? I'm my own distributor. I'm my own reseller. I'm my own purchasing, branch and stuff like that. Like, these are all terms that you'll hear in the wholesale industry. Like, if you're your own person, that's totally fine. But you don't want to come off that way to distributors, okay? Basically, you want to come off as a professional, okay? Like, you have a legitimate business setup and that you can bring another valuable distribution chain to them, okay? You do not want to come off like somebody that's sitting in a basement that is literally just interested in purchasing wholesale products from them so that you can sell them on Amazon if they're profitable, okay? Even if that's exactly who you are and what you want to do, that's totally fine, but you don't want to come off that way to them. The reason being, and we're going to touch on this here in a second, is because they're getting so many different emails from so many interested parties. It's actually the next lecture here, or the next slide here. They're getting so many different emails from so many interested resellers that, like, you need to stand out and come off professional, right? If they were only getting a couple, then that wouldn't necessarily matter, but they're not. So make sure that you don't come off unprofessional, and you don't come off like you're a one-person show, and you don't come off like you're just somebody reselling out of a basement on Amazon, right? You want to come off professional, and that's why I'm telling you to go through all these checklists and say all these important things, all right? Okay, so some crucial things also that will give you immediate credibility. If you have a business email with a business domain, use it, okay? It'll give you more credibility, and it'll increase the chance that you get a response from the supplier, okay? So for example, a business one with a business domain name is Bryan@invertmedia.net. Now, I own the domain name. I bought it through GoDaddy. You can go to GoDaddy. You can go to Namecheap. You can go to the Google one. I forget what that's called. There's a bunch of them out there, right? You can buy domain names super cheap. I think that one cost me maybe like $10 or like $12 for the year. Super cheap, right? Not expensive at all. And then you can hook yourself up to that domain name and create an email around it. Also super, super cheap. That's a complete other tutorial in and of itself. You can look online on Google or YouTube to do that if you want. I set mine up through Zoho. You can also set yours up with like a G Suite, or you can directly go to G Suite and buy a business domain name from G Suite. That's probably a very, very easy route to go as well. Or if you go to GoDaddy or you go to Namecheap and you buy like the domain name, obviously you wouldn't use Invert Media, but let's use that for an example, right? You also want to probably come off like you're a distributor, so Invert Media isn't necessarily one of the best, right? But if you purchased, like, for example, like let's say King Distributors or something like that, or King Distribution, right? And your name was Mike. So Mike@King Distribution would be the one that you want, right? For your business emails domain name, right? So you're going to go to GoDaddy or Namecheap or the Google, whatever it is, and you're going to purchase King Distribution. And that's going to be your domain name. So kingdistribution.com. And then once you purchase, they're going to give you the option to set up an email for that domain name. You can also do it that way. So there's a number of ways to do that. And like I said, this is a reselling kind of, tutorial on how to write emails. So this isn't necessary, but it will give you more credibility. If you want to go that route, there's countless tutorials. I know because I set it up myself that way. There's countless tutorials on Google and YouTube that you can check out, but it's not needed. Now, an example of a business domain name, obviously, like you see that I use, is Bryan@invertmedia.net, right? Invert Media is my business domain, right? If you go to invertmedia.net, that's an actual website, okay? Now, versus just one that's a personal looking one, Gara447@gmail.com, okay? Very different. This one will get immediate credibility and be taken a lot more seriously. This one will just look like I'm a random person emailing from a personal email. Two very, very different looks. Obviously, this is preferred, but it's not needed if you're just starting out. But this is something I would, obviously try to do. It's going to help you. Now, also, a website, and you can obviously, if you're buying a domain name, you can also set up your website the same way. If you go to GoDaddy or Namecheap and you buy a domain name, they're going to also give you the opportunity to set up a website right there with that domain name, right? You could also do it on Wix. You could also do it on Squarespace or Weebly or WordPress or any of the website builders. And honestly, like, it used to be very difficult to create a website. It used to be very, very difficult. Like 10 years ago, you had to understand how to code. You had to hire somebody or a developer. You had to pay a lot of money if you didn't know how to do it. Now it's super easy. My little sister could set it up. My little niece could set up a website, honestly. And all you need to do is go to any one of those website builders, sign up for an account, and they're all drag and drop, meaning you can literally hit the little plus button on the left, or sometimes it's on the right or above. On Wix, it's on the left. You hit the plus button, and then it gives you an option of like, what do you want to add? And then you can drag it over and add it literally anywhere. It's drag and drop, meaning it's super simple to add things, position them where you want, and set up a website, okay? It's also super easy to set up a blog on a lot of those. Like, they'll give you the entire template, and then you just put the words and the pictures into the templates, and boom, you have a website or a blog. So a website can also increase the response rate and make distributors take you seriously. So two things that are not needed but will crucially give you immediate credibility and increase your response rate is a business domain name and a business-looking website, obviously, okay? Now, if you don't have a website and you don't want to build one, that's okay, all right? And if you don't have a website and you do want to build one, that's okay as well. You don't need it right away. But you should definitely think about creating one, even if it's like a simple one that only has a few blog posts about selling or something similar on it, okay? Not having a website will hurt your credibility, and it decreases the likelihood that companies will want to work with you, okay? But if you don't have one, there are still 9,999 other companies that you can email on that list of distributors that I give you in the other module. So do not worry. Obviously, not even counting the 150 or 200 or so that I've already included in the list in this module, okay? So it's not the end of the world, but like I said, it will help you out. And like, just to show you, like, you don't need a fancy looking website. Like, everybody thinks you need this fancy looking website. You don't, okay? Look at my website right here. It has a couple different tabs, and obviously I have stuff in the background going. Like, I have like hidden pages and like hidden funnels on this site that you don't see, right? But it's super simple. I have 5 pages that are viewable, and you don't need that many. And I have a button and a home page that literally says, I help people start home businesses, with my picture. There's no fancy background. There's no fanciness or anything. Honestly, less is more. The reason being, your website's going to load a lot faster, and it's not going to, a lot of times, like, people get caught up and they spend weeks and months building this fancy looking website. And the difference in, when people hit the actual landing page of your website, and I know this just from like online marketing and selling and using landing pages, like, sometimes too much can be overwhelming for the person that gets there, and then they click away because they don't know where to go from there, right? So a lot of times, believe it or not, simple works better. And simple works better for landing pages as well. This simple landing page right here, it's so simple, and it converts so well because of its simplicity, okay? Same thing with this one, the case study that some of you might have come through. Works very well, super simple, right? And so you don't need a fancy looking website. You can literally create just your own website, have a blog on it with a couple blog posts, maybe like 3 to 5 blog posts, don't have to be long, and that can be your website, right? And just using a website will increase the response rate and make distributors take you more seriously, okay? Now, I do have an older how to create a website course that you can enroll in if you really want to and learn this stuff very, very quickly. It will take you through how to set up a drag and drop website with Wix. Now, like I said, that is an older course, so you might have to cringe through it a little bit. I probably created it like 4 to 5 years ago. I just recently redid it and added some stuff to the back end of it, but like, it's still like the general gist of how to actually drag and drop and set stuff up is, the older course in there. Okay. So if you want this, I will give it to you free. Just shoot me an email or shoot me an email. My email's up on the screen right now, Bryan@invertmedia.net. Ask for the how to create a website course. Say that you're in Resale University, and I'll just link you free access. That will teach you how to do it, okay? But like I said, it's an older course, so bear with it. It's not the best production quality, and obviously I'm not as confident on, explaining things and certain stuff like that, but it will teach you if you want it, okay? So if you want it, let me know, shoot me an email, okay? Now, if you already have a website, then great. All you need to do is add the URL of your footer or of your website to the footer of your email, okay? Instant credibility, especially obviously if you have a website and then you email them from a business domain name. Now, something that we touched on previously in I think 2 slides ago a little bit is why you're competing and why these things matter, right? Because there are 2.5 million third-party resellers on Amazon currently, and that number is increasing daily, okay? Now, obviously not all 2.5 million of those third-party resellers are selling wholesale, but you can still imagine that a decent amount of them are, right? And you can still imagine just how many people are emailing these distributors, okay? So the big ones and the good ones are probably, and there's a lot of them out there and a lot of good ones, right? So I'm giving you a list of 10,000. You have another 150 to 200 in this module specifically. And there's probably, tens of thousands of other ones out there, if not hundreds of thousands, right? So there's a lot, don't get me wrong. But the good ones and the big ones, which there are a lot of as well, are probably getting lots of emails every single day, okay? And this is why it's crucial to be able to stand out and appear credible amongst all the other emailers that are emailing these brands, right? As well as appear that you have something of value to bring them, which may be consistent purchases, easy to do business with you, another potential valuable distribution chain, or all of the above, etc. Okay, so make sure that you hit all these things home, because there are so many other people that are competing with you in the emails of these companies' inbox, and you need to stand out and appear credible. That's the reason. Okay, now, do not send the same email to every supplier. I see people create these, email templates and then just like email blast it out to all 10,000 of the list. Please don't do that. That's a horrible way to go. Okay. So you can create an email template that you plan to send to suppliers, right? Create the best looking email template that conveys all this stuff, have the template ready to roll, and then use it for the majority of your emails, right? But that does not mean that you email blast out that same exact template to all of them, and you don't want to email the same exact email to everyone, obviously, even if you don't email blast, okay? Use the template, and then slightly modify it and personalize it slightly, doesn't have to be much, for each distributor each time. Also, don't just mass blast out the list, obviously, with the same email template, and don't blast out the list to too many suppliers at once, okay? Instead, go for consistency. Aim to maybe email 5 per day, okay, or 10 per day. Stay low and stay, with a decent amount. Kind of, it's better to go low and consistent than too many, okay. So aim maybe to email 5 per day instead of 100 in a day and then waiting, or a couple hundred a day and then waiting for responses. The worst thing that you could do is email a lot of these companies and get too many responses, because then you're going to burn bridges and waste opportunities, because you're going to be talking to too many companies at once, and there's no possible way that you can relay all the information and emails back to all these companies, get product catalogs from them, scan through the product catalogs to see which products are profitable, and then obviously buy all those profitable products, right? And if you do this, you're going to burn bridges and you're going to waste opportunities, because the company's going to think like, okay, this person's not serious. I responded back to them and they didn't respond to me. Or I responded back to them and then I gave them a product catalog or a SKU list and then they never bought anything, right? And so you don't want to burn bridges that way. So start slow, because you'd rather, let's say you do 5 emails per day for like 3 days, right? Then you have emails out to 15 companies. Maybe 3 of them respond back to you, right? Or maybe more, right? Maybe 3 of them respond back to you and you get product catalogs or SKU lists from each one of those 3, right? Or let's say you 3 of them respond back to you, you get product catalogs from 2 of those companies, and then you put 2 product catalogs with thousands of products each into Scan Unlimited, which is your scanning software for wholesale. And then maybe 3 of the products from one company look really profitable and promising, and 5 of the other products from one company look really profitable and promising. Even at that point, you're still looking at thousands and thousands of dollars to go into inventory at that point, right? Most likely, if you're ordering minimum quantity, right? And if you decide to only go with one of those distributors, then you're probably still looking at like 1,000 or 2 into products, right? Or a couple hundred in the highs, right? Maybe like 500, 600, something like that, or maybe 800, right? You get the picture. It's all going to depend. What I'm saying is, do not email too many suppliers at once, or you're going to burn that bridge, because you can't possibly purchase all those products at once, and then you'll cross those potential suppliers and distributors off your list for the future. Do not do that, okay? So don't send the same email to every supplier. Don't blast out too many suppliers at once. Do it slow, do it consistently, then cross them off your list and move on to the next one, okay? If you do this, the right way, it will work for you, and you'll slowly move through the list, and you'll literally never run out of profitable product opportunities, okay? So go slow and go for consistency. Now, also remember, you want to have call to action, right? You want to ask to sign up at the end of your email. Ask to sign up for an account, ask how you sign up for an account, okay? Also, eventually, you're probably going to want to ask for a SKU list. I call this a product catalog in the wholesale section in a lot of the tutorials, right? There are many names for it. A lot of the people say SKU list. A lot of the wholesale sellers say product catalog. It doesn't really matter what you say as long as you convey the message. You can use SKU list. You can use product catalog. You can say list of your products, list of your current products, whatever it is. People get caught up too much on this. It doesn't matter that much as long as you come off professional and you convey what you're trying to say, okay? And this obviously will probably happen in the second email or the third email after you sign up, okay? So ask for a product catalog or a SKU list because obviously you want to put that SKU list into your scanning software. I use Scan Unlimited in the entire module so that you can obviously identify profitable products to resell, right? Then you want to purchase some of them, okay? Because buying from a company will help you establish that relationship for future buys and better prices in the future. And obviously I put distant future because you can't expect to purchase one time from a company and then have them drop their prices. They want to see that you're going to buy from them consistently or that you're a good potential person to do business with, you're easy to do business with, and then they might either lower your minimum order quantity if you're more reputable and they trust you, or they also might lower prices for you in the future, okay? So when you're looking at wholesale suppliers, right, like you don't want to just slowly cross them off the list and be like, okay, I purchased from this person next, right? You're looking to build relationships with these companies so that you can potentially sell their products long-term. That's the whole point of wholesale, replenishable products that you can purchase long-term, listings that you can be on longer than just a couple days or a couple weeks like online arbitrage, right? It's more scalable, it's more long-term, it's more replenishable, right? And so you don't, all of these, the wholesale suppliers in the list, like, yeah, you have so many of them and that's great opportunity, but everyone should be a potential long-term opportunity and a long-term business partner, right? You're not simply looking at them as suppliers for profitable products, okay? So always remember that. So you want to purchase some if there's some profitable products, all right? And also, at the end of the day, people get caught up with this because they forget that distributors are businesses too, right? The whole goal of a distributor is to make money. That's the goal of a business, okay? And so they're going to try to sell you on products. And a lot of the people that you deal with, if they call you, if they hop on a call with you to walk you through a demo, if they, email you back and forth, they're going to try to constantly be selling you stuff, okay? Which means they're going to get a commission of sorts if they convince you to buy certain products. So you need to expect that, right? But obviously you aren't sure which products are profitable until you run them through the software. So be professional, be kind, be assertive. I didn't put that in there. You want to be assertive and come off like you're not just going to buy any product that they recommend you, right? But obviously make sure that you get the SKU list so you can find out. But be professional and be kind, okay? That said, you do not want to say something like, hey, I need to see which items are profitable first before I buy anything. That's going to come off super unprofessional and they're not going to want to do business with you, right? Instead, you could say something like, I was hoping to get a SKU list of all your current products so I can send it over to our purchasing department. And, obviously the purchasing department in that situation would be you. But that does the whole job of saying, hey, you need the SKU list first before you decide anything. And it also comes off very professional, right? Even if the purchase department is you, right? Instead, obviously, you could also say something like, well, I was really hoping to get a SKU list of all your current products so I can see which products fit our brand best and which ones would connect well with our customers. Also, conveys the fact that you're looking to get a SKU list first. So obviously, you're not going to say you're going to run it through your software, but it conveys the fact that you need a product catalog or a SKU list first, and then you'll potentially buy a product from that SKU list, okay? Comes off very professional, comes off a lot better, okay? And so people get hung up on these things. They get pushed around by companies because the company's whole point is to sell you products. They're trying to make money, okay? And so let me pull up an example of this. So a perfect example of not getting pushed around by a wholesale supplier is you can see that I haven't purchased from EE Distribution in a long time because I only really use EE Distribution. Don't get me wrong, you can find profitable products on there every once in a while if you run them through Scan Unlimited. You definitely can. Right. And it's one of the easiest suppliers that's reputable, whose invoices work to get you ungated. So don't get me wrong, it's a phenomenal supplier. but it definitely doesn't have as many profitable products because so many people know about it, right? And so I only really use EE distribution to either get ungated for certain things and then buy them elsewhere, or just to get ungated for certain things in the future that I plan to sell that brand of, right? And so I haven't purchased in a while. So their rep literally sent me an email trying to get me to purchase. He's been trying to get me to purchase for a while, and I've just kind of been like, oh, like I'll look through it. And so he goes, due to the lack of activity in your wholesale account, your account has been flagged for deactivation, blah, blah, blah. If you could please drop me an email letting me know your current status and let me know if you would like me to keep your account open, blah, 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 so that you could obviously make a purchase, right? That's what he's trying to get me to do. He's trying to say like, hey, man, like you haven't purchased in a while. I'm going to close your account. And I professionally responded like, thanks for letting me know, Kevin. I would like to keep my account open for future orders, but I don't plan to order right now. If that doesn't work, I'll unfortunately have to close it, right? And so I basically said like, hey man, like I'm not getting, well, the whole thing I'm trying to say here is like their whole point is to sell you, right? That's to be expected, okay? But you want to come off professional, you want to come off kind, but that does not mean that you have to purchase products from them because they're just trying to sell you on them, right? Your whole goal is also to be profitable, but you have to convey that in a certain way, okay? And so you can see he backed off here. He's like, hey, all right, we're going to deactivate your account, but like I can reactivate it immediately. Just let me know when you want to proceed. Okay, so understand that these things are crucial. You need to remember a lot of these things, but also main thing to remember is do all these things, but they're all important because you are competing with so many other people to sell, and these companies are getting thousands, if not, well, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of emails probably a week and maybe hundreds of emails a day. So that's how you write a professional email to a distributor so that you can obviously get a response and potentially purchase more profitable products.